I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati Rick in Detroit, convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude, strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game, Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes, Craig Pettis in the M-Town, Sal Magluta with the boat game, Falcone with the cocaine, like Freeway Ricky with the plug game, like Monster Cody in South Central, Larry Davis from close range.
Robinson was killed in retaliation to a rival gang murder that took place less than 12 hours earlier, also in Liberty City. 20-year-old Billy D. Walker was shot and killed while sitting in his car. Walker was killed in retaliation for the Christmas night murder of 30-year-old rival gang member Mark Couch. This graphic surveillance video shows the brutal and deliberate shooting, but Couch's murder was merely retaliation for yet another murder. 15-year-old Jarvis Hilbert shot down earlier on Christmas Day. Hilbert's life taken because of this horrific murder on August 30th. 26-year-old Angel Bennett Wilson. Police say Wilson was the girlfriend of this man, Anthony DeJuan Fale, who was a big shot with the John Doe Gang, but left to start a gang of his own. Cops want him because they say his actions started the bloodshed.
After 18 years behind bars, police say this is how a gang member spent part of his free time, waving an assault rifle in a store and making threats. Tonight, he's back in jail and accused of a whole other new crime spree. Local 10 News reporter Leanne Morejon is live in West Miami-Dade with the story. Leanne.
Carlos, the surveillance video is really unsettling. This guy goes by the street name Pee-wee. Tonight, he is locked up here behind bars. And we do know that police are not only crediting surveillance cameras installed by Miami-Dade County for the reason why they were able to catch this guy. Not only that, but also crucial tips given by not only victims of this guy, but also members of the community where he lives. He storms in carrying an AK-47 and says he's ready to use it.
I'm gonna kill it. I gotta kill everybody else in here.
Police say Willie Wilcher is the man in that video. He was arrested New Year's Day. He is locked up tonight facing serious charges.
Home invasion with a firearm, armed burglary with an assault, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and improper display of a firearm.
Wilcher is no stranger to law enforcement, a member of the notorious John Doe Boys Gang. He was convicted of murder charges in 1998 and served 18 years in state prison. He was released in August of 2014, and police say he's returned to a life of crime.
And came back to his neighborhood to wreak more havoc.
He was captured on surveillance video last week at the City Market store on Northwest 62nd Street and 13th Avenue, carrying an assault rifle and making threats.
They talking about they looking for Pee-wee on right here.
Police say he would then drive to the Liberty City housing projects across the street, fire shots, then crash his car into a light pole. Just days before, Miami-Dade police say Wilcher committed a home invasion robbery, holding a gun up to a couple who'd just come home from shopping.
Forced his way into that house, proceeded to beat down one of the individuals in that house, and demanded money.
City of Miami and Miami-Dade police came together to announce Wilcher's arrest. They credit surveillance cameras, including those installed near the Liberty Square housing project, for catching him in the act.
They are working.
But police agree they couldn't have made the arrest without help from the community, who chose to speak out instead of staying silent.
Without their help, certainly he wouldn't be in jail today.
Records show Wilcher is being held without bond. Police believe he may be involved in other crimes like robberies and shootings in the area. So if you have any information about those crimes that you think could help police out, go ahead and give them a call. You can also call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. Remember, you can remain anonymous, and any information leading to an arrest may result in a reward for you. Reporting live tonight, Leanne Morejon, Local 10 News.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to Florida with it. Miami to be exact. Liberty City to be more exact. All my niggas from the 305, Liberty City, Carroll City, Opelika, Little Haiti, Alibaba Avenue, Pork and Beans, NMB, Little River, Norland, Wynwood, Overtown, everybody. Y'all niggas get in the comment box, let it be known. Real extra G shit. You know I extra fuck with y'all niggas. Now, the niggas that we gonna be covering today is gonna be an organization by the name of the John Doe Gang. But in uncovering this organization and pretty much everything that I had seen in the past. The primary focus is going to be on two individuals. It's going to be the leader of the John Doe Gang, which is going to be a guy by the name of Corey Smith, I think he went by the name of Bugs. And there's also going to be another guy by the name of Anthony Fell, which went by the name of Bo or Little Bo. Now, those are going to be the two most influential figures, pretty much, in this mob ties, because a lot of the stuff that happened and a lot of the coverage that they got was based on what was going on between them two. Now, Little Bo was a former member of the John Doe Gang at one point in time. And like I said, Corey Smith was the leader. And from what I seen, it was a time, I want to say in the mid 90s, Corey Smith was on trial for the killing of a 19-year-old drug dealer. I know his first name was Dominique. So he was on trial for that. So 4 days before the trial was set to begin, a witness, or the key witness, or the only witness in that trial, was suffocated to death in a hotel room. I'm not sure what happened that kind of led to that, or because is said that a lot of people seen the murder, but this female was pretty much the only one that stood up to testify, and she was murdered 4 days before the trial. But I seen where Corey Smith was implicated in that murder at some point. Or no, actually, maybe when he was tried for that murder. But let's not even get that far. Okay, so he was supposed to go to trial. 4 days before he was supposed to go to trial, the key witness gets murdered, which is going to be a female. Now, the charges are dismissed against him on the fact that they don't have the witness any longer. So something happens along the course. So anybody that have any knowledge about the Boobie Boys, because I really can't put my hand on it, something happened that led to a falling out between Little Bo and the John Doe Gang. Now, Little Bo, a lot of people say, oh, it started because his girl was killed by them. No, it was before that, because when his girl was killed, they was actually looking for him. That probably started him going back at them, but up until then, they was looking for him. I remember an incident that it was a guy named Keywan had got killed when him and Anthony Fell was leaving the club, and they said that some John Doe members was involved with that. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, from my research, I saw that Anthony Fell testified against Corey Smith and in the murder trial of that key witness that was murdered, saying that Corey Smith offered to pay him $50,000 to do the murder, and he didn't take the money. And I want to say they kind of implicated her boyfriend, whereas like Corey Smith paid the boyfriend. Now the John Doe Gang was pretty much, from what it looked like, they started out as an organization that was protecting other organizations and other drug carriers, and then they moved and opened up their own couple of spots. It's always like a key number that's mentioned is 7 spots. They opened up 7 spots. They started off with marijuana, then they transferred over to crack and cocaine. Yeah, I want to say Anthony Fell, he went on almost a crime spree against the John Does, because he had a girl named Angel Wilson, who I guess he was feeling at the time. From the research I did, looks like she dropped him off at a stepbrother or a friend's house. His stepbrother warned him that the John Does were circling the neighborhood, and that in turn told him to tell Angel, which is the female, to, hey, get out of here, it's not safe. So I'm thinking in the course of leaving the neighborhood, they stumbled across her. Didn't see Anthony Fell. So it's pretty much just like my man said in the MIA DVD. If y'all seen it, because that I want to say that's maybe like the second or the third place that I really heard about it. But that's one of the first places I seen vital coverage on it. But it's just like he said, they didn't. They was looking for Little Bo. They didn't find him. They knew he was heavy with this chick, so they let her have it. And I think that's what set Bo on his crime spree, where he was going at them. Y'all seen in the video at the beginning, he chasing a rival. He chased a rival through a convenience store. So Miami was hot on his trail, and they ended up busting him at a hotel room. And I can't forget a part of, I want to say, northern Miami. He had ordered a pizza. It was a big deal. They got him off the streets. But all of this was right around the 90s era. If you was anywhere in Miami in the 90s era and you got any insight on this, any of the gangs, I know this had to have been happening the same time around Zoe Pound, Sap Boys, Street Action Posse, all that shit. So if y'all got any kind of knowledge, y'all niggas get in the comment box. Y'all let us know the other organizations we want to cover. We got a lot of requests to cover this John Doe shit. So, I wanted to come in and give y'all what y'all been asking for. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, Twitter. It's your boy Popalot, POP_A_LOT. Y'all hit the bell and y'all hit subscribe if y'all want to know when this real trill shit is dropping. It's your boy Popalot. Mob, ties.
Beginning in the mid-1990s, a group of teenagers and young adults known as the John Doe Gang trafficked drugs in Liberty City, an impoverished area of northwest Miami, a spin-off of a defunct group called the Lynch Mob. The John Does ran about a half-dozen drug holes. A drug hole is referred to as a street location where the John Doe dealers would peddle their illicit drugs. Although the gang started with no more than 6 or so members, membership grew to approximately 50 people at its peak. The John Does conducted their drug operations strategically and were well organized with a hierarchy of members, from top to bottom. Defendant Corey Smith was the leader of the gang, and Defendant LaTravis Galashaw was second in command. Galashaw supervised lieutenants in the organization who were responsible for the daily operations of a drug hole. Part of the daily operations consisted of maintaining an inventory of drugs based on the street demand and accounting for money and leftover drugs at the end of a shift. Beneath each lieutenant were a tableman, bomb men or servers, lookouts or watchouts, gunmen or enforcers. The duties of each of these were as following: tablemen packaged drugs, bomb men or servers sold drugs, lookouts and watchouts alerted gang members of police or unknown people or vehicles, and the gunmen or enforcers protected the drug holes. To facilitate their operations, the organization maintained a variety of firearms. They used violence and threats of violence against rival drug dealers. Sometimes, higher-ranking members would even threaten or assault their own subordinates. Under a sophisticated system of role assignments and weaponry, the John Doe organization sold cocaine, crack, and marijuana continuously throughout the day and night from about 1994 until the defendants were arrested in late 1998, early 1999. In terms of revenues, during the early stages of the organization's drug business, a hole would generate about $25,000 a day. As the organization expanded its territory, the amount generated on a Friday night could reach about $10,000. And its peak drug sales of cocaine alone reached 5 to 7 kilograms per week at an estimated price of $16,000 per kilogram. As a testament to the organization's drug trade savvy, one co-conspirator testified that sales typically increased during the first of the month. He also noted that the most he ever made was $23,000 in a single 12-hour shift. Not surprisingly, when the Federal Bureau of Investigation put John Doe Gang out of business, it seized over $185,000 in cash from Smith's residence. The FBI began its operations in September of 1997. Obtaining court approval, the FBI intercepted numerous telephone communications of various John Doe members. Building their case piece by piece, agents developed significant evidence of the organization's production of sale of marijuana, cocaine, and crack. From time to time, agents raided the drug holes, arrested dealers, and seized substantial amount of drugs, drug paraphernalia, and cash. At the conclusion of the FBI's operations, numerous arrests were made and charges filed. From its extensive investigation, the government was able to determine the roles of each of the defendants. Again, Smith was the leader and Galashaw stood next in command. Stokes and Godfrey were lieutenants and gunmen. Allen was a bombman, Major was a lieutenant, and then a tableman. Among the other individuals involved, but not parties to this appeal, were Jeffrey Bullard, a tableman, John Godin, a server, Eric Mitchell, a lieutenant, and Charles Clark, a watchout, who later became a server. The trial testimony of these four individuals became a significant portion of the government's case against the defendants. The investigation also revealed that John Does were extremely capable and oftentimes ruthless in furthering their drug trade. To expand their criminal operations, the John Does muscled out rival drug dealers and took over their street locations. As the organization gained notoriety and their acts of violence escalated, they met with a resistance from other dealers in the neighborhood. On several occasions, however, the gang found it necessary to carry out its threats of violence and mayhem. Leon Hadley was known in the neighborhood as a longtime drug dealer. Hadley had been dealing drugs since the appellants were children. Hadley made the mistake of continuing to treat the appellants as kids as they grew older. In 1995, Mark Roundtree, an affiliate of Smith, got into an argument with Hadley. The argument culminated into a shooting with Hadley suffering a bullet wound to his leg. Fearing retaliation, Roundtree and Smith got together with a third individual to finish off Hadley. Armed with a multitude of firearms, including assault rifles, these three individuals got into a car, drove to a location where Hadley frequented, and shot him multiple times. With Hadley apparently still struggling to hold on to life, Smith fired several more shots at him until he was dead. This murder gained Smith a reputation for being tough and precipitated the formation of the ruthless John Doe organization with Smith at its head. It was not long before the John Doe organization became a feared presence in the community. In 1996, Dominique Johnson was a rival drug dealer who engaged Smith in a heated argument over territory. After tempers had seemingly cooled off, Smith and Rashad Ward sought out Johnson, cursed him, and fired multiple shots, killing him. 2 people witnessed this murder, including Cynthia Brown. Brown stepped up forward and identified Smith and Ward to police as the shooters. Demetrius Jones, another John Doe member, also witnessed the murder but did not go to the police. With Brown's eyewitness account, the state arrested Smith and charged him with the murder of Johnson. With his trial date approaching, Peggy King, a longtime associate of Smith, asked Jones to say he saw the shooting and that someone other than Smith committed the crime. Jones agreed, but with the eyewitness testimony of Brown, Smith's then attorney advised that Jones' alibi would matter little. Smith hatched a plan to kill Brown, which came to the fruition on the eve of his murder trial. On July 23, 1997, Brown was found dead in a hotel room. Without a witness to testify about the Johnson murder, the state dropped the charges against Smith. Having committed murder, the John Does were becoming increasingly bold and ruthless. James Jackson purchased a gun from Octavius Williams, nicknamed Bean, and Lamar Newsome, nicknamed Bally. Jackson used the gun to rob Peggy King. Upon realizing Peggy King's connection to the gang, Jackson returned the stolen goods and apologized to Smith for failing to recognize her affiliation. Dissatisfied, Smith sent Galashaw to confront Jackson about the robbery. Galashaw met with Jackson, argued about the robbery for a short time, and then shot him 5 times. Jackson survived, but Smith was not done handling the robbery incident. Knowing that Williams and Newsome had supplied Jackson with the firearm to rob Peggy King, Smith viewed them as a threat to the organization's power, so Smith ordered them killed. Julia Stevens and Jean Henry carried out the order, riddling the vehicle in which Williams and Newsome occupied with bullets fired from a high-powered assault rifle. They were both struck multiple times and killed instantly. Melvin Lipscomb was a repeat customer of John Doe's dealers. While at one of the drug holes, Lipscomb began complaining about the quality of the drugs that he had purchased. Allen responded by telling him to shut up and leave immediately. Lipscomb did not heed the warning and continued to complain. So Godfrey walked up to Lipscomb and without warning shot him several times. Injured, Lipscomb fled, but Godfrey caught up to him and shot him dead. Smith and the John Does knew no loyalty when it came to their drug trade. Calvin Cook was one of Smith's best friends growing up. Now older, Smith supplied Cook with drugs to sell, but Cook refused to hand over any of the profit. Smith sensed that Cook was taking advantage of their childhood friendship and put a contract out for his murder. Xavier Roberts, a young John Doe member, agreed to kill Cook. In 1996, possessing an arsenal of weapons, including a military-style AK-47 assault rifle, Roberts, Jones, and Nathaniel Urser set out to shoot and kill Cook. They found Cook outside of his house and fired multiple shots at him in a drive-by shooting. Seeing Cook injured but still alive, Jones exited the vehicle and shot Cook several times, killing him. Marlon Benaby was a server who sold his own drugs in addition to those he obtained from the gang. Eventually, the organization discovered Benaby's side dealings and sought to put an end to it. Godfrey and Galashaw set out to discipline Benaby by beating him. When they found Benaby, Galashaw tried to pistol whip him, but the gun discharged and Benaby was shot in the face. He later died while in the hospital. Like Benaby, Anthony Fail was a disloyal member of the organization, disguising himself and using a gun. Fail robbed the hole, which he was assigned a lieutenant. The gang soon discovered Fail's charade, which sent him running from the gang. Fail and various members of the gang waged war against each other, exchanging gunfire upon their every encounter. On one occasion, John Doe members saw what they thought was the vehicle owned by Fail with someone in it. The members fired numerous times at the vehicle, killing its occupant instantly. Only Fail was not inside the vehicle. His girlfriend, Angel Wilson, suffered the fate intended for Fail.